Hey guys, this is Production Music Live with another tutorial, and in this one we are going to check out this project file over here where I remade Hayden James' Something About You in the Odesza remix. And maybe you noticed I changed the notes a bit over here. The original notes are back here. Over there it sounds like this. Anyways, it's a fairly heavy project, so let's get an overview quickly. You can see over here in the top of the project, I have my sidechain channel. I have the first kick that's being used in bridges and build-ups, and I have this fat kick that's used in chorus parts. And below that, I have a complete drumming group where all those drum sounds, a lot of snares in this case, and, well, tambourines, wood shakers, shakers, and a hi-hat, for example. We are going to look at that in a minute. Also below the drums we find this vinyl noise, which is constant throughout the track, which is just this little bit of airy feel, or this adds a little bit of analog feel into the project. I noticed that in the original. It's very, very subtle. Also, I'm using two bass sounds. One is just a sub bass, very decent, very, very laid back. And the other one is also a sub bass, but that one is a little raw. So if we only listen to this sub bass, it's really a low sine wave, nothing special. You won't hear it on laptop speakers, so make sure you have a good subsystem when you're listening to it, or headphones. And for example, this bass over here is rough. Or rougher than the other one. It's not really rough. Also, we are using a lot of different instruments because Odesza, they basically put out all the orchestra over here. So we have guitars playing, we have strings playing, more strings playing, we have cellos playing, we have trombones playing, French horns playing, and we have a couple of synths playing, and also pianos are playing, and well, of course, a little bit of white noise here. Some E pianos are playing as well, and more guitars, more brass ensemble sounds. For example, this one over here in the chorus part. And also in our chorus we have those massive synths playing, so we're really punchy in there. If I put this on solo quickly, for example. And below that we have a couple of synths left and a bit more guitar, and then we have those vocal shots. Because in this project over here I don't have any original vocals or something. I'm just putting in some vocal shots and trying to get kind of a bit of this vocal feel, but I'm actually focusing more on the instrument side. So let's get going. Maybe we start in this outro section over here, because in there you can see the drumming real nice. And I have almost all the drum elements represented over here, so we can look at this part first. So it sounds like this. I always try to put the pattern the kick is playing into my sidechain as well. So just be sure we have that pattern up here. The sidechain is always a sidechain kick, and it's not being played, and we later take that information into our respective compressors. But let's go to the kick. So the kick is our D Premium Kick 20, and that one is quite punchy. And I'm EQing a bit more. I'm taking out some woody stuff over here. Then I'm throwing on a lot of compression actually, because I was starting with only one compressor, but then throughout the mix, I thought, okay, now I needed to stand out like this. Now I needed to stand out like that. And then that's when I added in saturation, more punch, and another compressor, and even another EQ. It's really difficult to explain this chain without the context of the mix, but it's just, you start here, and then you go on and arrange your track and produce everything, and then you're like, okay, now the kick is kind of weak or kind of, I don't know, missing some frequency, so let's add in some saturation, give it a bit more drive. Like dry wet up here all the way. For example, if I put this chain off again, let's see how it sounds. Kind of knocky. So put on this compressor. A little snappier, threshold is down quite a bit, ratio is not too heavily, so a bit of saturation. More punch. So we're getting a bit rid of those extremes. Yeah. And now we only need to get out a bit of woodiness in those frequencies here. It doesn't really help a lot to do that in solo mode because it's really a context thing, but those are kind of annoying with all the elements playing, especially in the chorus part over here. So just trust me, this won't sound good. So that's why I took it out. Anyways, moving on to our drums. So the most important elements in this track are our kick and our snare. All the other elements can be actually deleted. It will still work, the track, because we have so many instruments reaching out in all those frequencies of the frequency range. We are really covering it up. But of course, in this part over here, in this outro part, those shakers and snares down here, added snares, snare rolls and trap snares, they really give this nice groove. So it's good to talk about them as well. So let's look at the main snare. That one is really heavy. Yeah, I didn't show the kick pattern actually. So this is my kick pattern. Snare is always playing the 2 and the 4. Okay, let's look at the snare. So the snare is compressed as well. Because I want a bit more end. Like the difference in the snare is it's getting a bit more swooshy if I add in this compressor. So what else is there? We have an EQ here. Can actually take that up a bit further. And a bit of saturation up here. So we combine that with another snare. This one, I recorded this out of a sound I found somewhere. And you can see those track delays over here. So I'm trying to adjust the snares a bit to the groove. So this one is taken back 5 milliseconds. Then it's actually like this 5 milliseconds means compared to another track, this is 5 milliseconds earlier playing. And this one is playing 15 milliseconds earlier. So let's put them together. So now we have this color snare. I call it color snare. I'm cutting off a bit over here, and later I'm rolling off the low end, adding some compression, putting on the chorus. And a bit of drums room reverb over here. So if you hear this in solo mode, you're like, okay, why do we need that? But it's actually with the chorus and the drums room and combined with the other snare and in a mix, this is really giving a bit of natural roomy feel to your snare sounds. So that's why I put it in. Because with that one, you have the feeling you're actually in a room. It's not too big. We have this decay time of 1.22 seconds over here. That's actually a preset of Ableton, so you can quickly drag that in and just open it up a bit. So this is our groove so far. But now we want to have a bit of movement here. So let's check the cymbal in the beginning, for example. This is just a crash. And we also have the smooth off hi-hat over here. So I'm taking this D Premium Open Hi-Hat Drive 14 and I'm putting in sidechain compression because I don't want to play it on the kick too much, and I'm rolling off the low end and just automating the utility. What I like doing, maybe you've seen it before, I'm putting in utilities on tracks because if I want to automate the volume of a channel, of an audio track or a MIDI track, I don't like automating this mixer volume because maybe in the end, in the mix or when mixing and mastering, you want to adjust that and then you need to drag all those automations up and down. It's really a little painful. So if you put in an utility, you can easily make adjustments in your gain automations and you're still not touching the mixer knob. The effect is the same. Okay, so we have a snare roll over here. So let's have a look at that one. That one has bit reduction and a chorus on top, so we are getting it to the sides because we have other snares. You will see that in a minute. We have other snares playing really like clear, so this one is a bit blurry. I'm taking snare dry 25. Actually, it's quite interesting to hear that in solo without the effects. And it's also transposed up by 6 semitones. So this is how it sounds without transposition. Okay, let's put it back in there and put on the bit reduction. And now add in the chorus. Dry wet up 77. Really takes it to the sides. And now we're getting out some low end. And there we go. And we were playing this pattern. Dub, 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 dub. Okay, the next snare is called live snare. This one over here, because that one adds this drummer kind of feel in there. Let's get a bit of context with the snares and the kick. So this really sounds pretty live. So you notice I tried around with those other places over here, but then decided for those. We are playing this live recorded snare sound, rolling off some lows over here and some of those resonant tones, Because if I go back and add in this number 5 over here, I think that one's pretty dominant. So 8.55. Let's put this up the other way. Yeah, there's the sound. There's this own sound of that thing. I didn't want that in there because it didn't fit nicely, so I took it out. 8.55 something. Okay, there's also a little bit of chorus on top of that one, a little bit of side chaining, and of course drums room that's easily noticeable without it. So we want it in the back. Okay, another snare over here. I think I used this. Okay, I used this sample. Oh, that one's playing fast, so let's check it out. Okay, this one adds in the drive, as you can see. So we have a bit of bit reduction. We put it up, the snare 33, transpose it up because I wanted to, well, fit with the notes we are actually playing. Roll off some low end, some higher frequencies. See, this is too white noise-ish, so kind of try to take that out. Add in back some chorus and also compressor, sidechain compressor. Sounds a bit more dynamic that way, and a bit of drums room, but not too much. The next one we are using is this little leftover here. That's not really necessary, I just threw it in there because I kind of liked it. With that organic feel it adds, but it's really, you can do that, you can leave it out. It's, again, sample 25, cut off a bit, and it's just, well, let's listen to it in context. Yeah, I think it might be more interesting with it, so I'm leaving it in there. But since there's nothing new about this, I'm going to explain the next element over here, which is just a shaker. I recorded from the Latin percussions, from the Ableton pack Latin percussion. And that one is pretty off groove. But it sounds cool with it. So if we make the A-B check over here. But if you ask me, it sounds right in there. So that's why I kept it. And we have this real shaker sound over here. That one is basically playing 16th notes again. And we're leaving off, we're taking down the velocities of some of them, and we're playing this shaker dry 4 sample, and we're rolling off almost everything, just keeping the high frequencies. And I'm not taking that in too loud because you gotta feel it's there, but shouldn't be too easy to hear that it's there. So that's why I'm taking this down to, you almost don't notice it anymore. Could get a bit less volume even, but okay, let's go on. So we have another shaker recorded over here, left, right. So they're panning around. just filling up the shaker frequencies, and that one has a pretty long feedback. So, but it's kind of cool. Maybe in some drops or breaks you have to take it off a bit earlier because the delay is still there and will cover those parts over here, but you can also like take that down. For me it works like that. And we have another shaker over here, which is this wood shaker, also recorded. So this is basically my groove over here, and we can check out those couple of instruments that are starting to play down here. So we have guitars down here. For this open guitar, that one is from the guitars and bass pack, but I have a copy of it over here. If you don't have that pack, no problem. So low end taken out without low end taken out. So you see, this is very important in EQing if you have this instrument heavy track. I know for sure that I have elements that cover those frequencies down here. So the guitar sounds nice with them in there, but those are covered. And if we don't take them out over here, we are piling up this muddiness in our mid frequencies and low mids, and it's impossible to have a good mix in the end. So that's why I'm taking that out, because the character still remains in here. A bit of reverb, a bit longer, a bit of delay. Over here, this is a piano. Also have a copy of that one, so copied piano in a simpler device. But I'm taking this one here from the grand piano pack, and I'm playing those notes. You notice we have this heavy sidechain on top, so that threshold is really down here. Maybe a bit too much, I don't know. If you listen to it in solo mode, definitely too much. But then again, in the mix it sounds okay. So you can also see I'm delaying it by 33 milliseconds. So I'm doing that a lot because sometimes it just comes in too early, and then you don't want to adjust your MIDI files, like drag everything back. So that's really handy over here in Ableton. Love that feature. We have this one thing left over here, which is Massive Deep. It's basically one of our presets from the Future Bass preset pack. Pat Worley, one of my favorites. Sounds really natural. Saw wave, nothing, and a filter FM on the second one, frequency modulator. Also, well, it's voiced, a bit stereo, unisono on 2, polyphone of course, and well, a typical piano envelope, so a bit of attack through and then just let it go. So not too long, it's not a pad in that sense, it's more like a key played. So I'm trying to get this warm feel in here, adding some vinyl effects from our audio effects. Oops. So vinyl distortion over here. A bit of vinyl drive. sidechain compression as well, simple delay, rolling of the low end here, and utility just for automation purposes. You can see we're taking it down there. Okay. So let's look at the whole thing again. You can see the arrangement is pretty straightforward. We have the start area over here, then we are building up. We are falling into the first chorus, getting into a bridge, breakdown over here, still in the breakdown, but in the mid of it, then we are building back up towards the second chorus, and then we are falling into the outro. Overall lasting around 5 minutes or something. And well, that's already pretty long. But then again, it's electronic music and there are no definite rules for something like that. So you can do whatever you want, basically. So if we go to the start, we are also playing this piano and this electronic piano paddy sound from Massive, but we are combining it with this higher sound over here. So what is going on there? Nothing down there. So just this beepy thing. And this is taken in slowly. So also gain the control over with gain automation from the utility back there, and a bit of reverb, auto panning, chorus, because it's don't want it too beepy. That's why I'm putting the chorus on there. And what kind of sound are we using here? It's strings pad from our upcoming Massive preset pack. It's a simple saw wave. Okay, and then we have all those instruments coming along. They're also playing the same MIDI notes, or more or less those over here. So we are playing this MIDI pattern. If you want to learn how to come up with melodies like this one, for example, we just finished our first harmony in chord progressions course. I'm going to throw a link into this description and you can check that out. We're really going through all you need to know about chord progressions and harmony. Anyways, you can see the harmonies over here. So I'm putting in the French horn, just playing a couple of solo notes. Now we are layering those types of instruments a bit in here to add this natural and organic feel. So I have the French horn from the Orchestral Brasses pack, and it's section legato, that one, and it's also rolling off here, adding a bit of mids in there and then taking a bit of reverb and a bit warmer saturation, utility up a bit, nothing really fancy. It's also copied over here if you don't have the brasses. And the same is going on with trombone over here. Now you're like, oh, that's really quiet. We're kind of just focusing on this top end over here. We just want this brassy feel in the higher frequencies. We're not looking for the actual tone because that one is covered by all the other instruments, but we want this brassy trombone kind of feel on top. That's why I'm throwing this in. we're just looking for this here. And cello for some nice reflective deeper tones. And also we have those strings, ensemble legato from the orchestral strings pack. And another strings ensemble over here, focusing on a bit different things and adding in a chorus on that one. We had another chorus here, but that one was completely dry. And I'm varying the notes a bit in the chord structure just to get it a little more interesting. And then important element on top is this muted guitar over here, which is adding in this guitar picky kind of sound. This one. Whenever you add something like this into a track, it gets more groovy. It's just the way it is. Always works. That's 100% rule. Always works. So the sound is out of the guitar mute from the guitars and bass pack. A bit of catching peaks here, rolling off low and putting on the chorus for the complete dry wet. Because that way it kind of sounds like it's too much in the middle of our panorama and it sounds like the news are about to start. So I'm putting this on dry wet and I'm putting it on the sides. Also gets this kind of distorted feel and kind of off the note feel. Simple delay on top, of course, mid-side EQ, mids out a bit, so stereo mid-side here, taking off the low ends in the mids because I really wanted to have that one on the sides. And then we have this left over, our sub bass, with the quieter one. And that one is out of the Future Bass Massive Preset Pack, and that one is called Bass Subs. Sine wave, a bit of a saw wave in there for a bit of color, and that's basically the sound already. Getting some sidechain compression from the kick and from the snare. But that's for later. That's not important in this build-up over here. We also have those guys down here, so you see we have a lot of tracks. In the end, it's Odesza's fault. They're using so many tracks, so we need to come up with something similar to remake the style of them. And that one is massive as well. So we have this saw over here, and this one needs a bit of glide. So voicing is on... Oh, which one is that one? That's the clear one. The clear one, the transier one. And now we are still in need of that pitchy one. So you see that one has high resonances over here. That's why I took this area out. You can see it in the spectrum. It's the same preset, but then it's slightly tweaked over here because I'm pretty sure I put the voicing on mono rotate. Didn't do too much over there, but the panning position up all the way to stereo, and the rate of our glide up a bit. That's how we get this pitchy feel in there. So now we are complete with our build up. This dummy vocal shot in here. I'm taking a Vengeance sample from the Vengeance vocal pack, and I have some vocal shots in there, and I'm just taking this atmospheres kind of thing and I'm putting in something a singer might do. So I'm trying to add this, and I'm putting it on portamento glide and a bit, so I get a bit of pitchy feel in there as well. So now we are falling into the chorus, and we are basically using the basic drumming now, which I explained earlier in this tutorial already. So kick and snare, not much more going on, a bit of a tambourine. What is that one doing? Okay, that's really basic. And a part of that, we are playing this flare bass sound, which is a bit rougher. And now you see in this chorus part, I'm taking two side chains. I'm taking the one from the kick and I'm taking the one from the snare as well. I really want them to duck both times, because it's not simple electronic music 4 to the floor. We have a breakbeat over here, so we need to take the side chain on the snare as well. And how do we get this sound? It's from Future Bass Massive Presets pack, and it's a pulse wave and a bit of a square over here, and ring modulation up on, is it really doing much? Yeah, it's up on the first oscillator over here. White noise down, a bit of parabolic shaper in here, and clip and a tube. And that tube is up. Okay, we have those brasses playing along. So brass ensemble legato, taking down all those frequencies that are covered already, warming up the highs. And I think I'm taking the inversions of the chords that are played out by this chorus group over here. Not sure. Ah, no. I think that's happening in the second part here. Yeah. So into this chorus group where we have all those leady kind of sounds. Low ends off, mid-side EQ, emphasizing a bit on the sides, warming up the highs, nothing really fancy in here, just sidechaining the kick, but then the group must sidechain the snare as well, yeah. So the snare is sidechained inside of the group and it applies on all of them. And you also see we have a bit of auto panning on the group, so adds in a bit of life to this saw pad stuff. And you see I'm taking out a couple of frequencies to leave room in the mix. Let's look at the preset here. Basically, you can just take a pulse and a saw wave, you're good to go. The important thing in this sound is the voicing parameter. And over here we are putting the unisono up to a lot of voices, 8 in this case, polyphone on, of course, a bit of unison spread, but it's not too much, it's just a tad in here. So this is what adds this dirty kind of feel. If you want it more electronic, like an electronic organ, you take it off. It's also a very interesting sound. You can do some deadmau5, ghosts and stuff track right with that sound. Just take back the frequencies, the lower frequencies, and you're good to go. But let's put the unison in. And also panning is important here. If I take this off, crazy, huh? Okay, and those two are just additional synths. A bit of square wave flair in there. Square wave. And this one adds the higher frequency. So we also have this 1 octave higher feel and we cover our frequency spectrum. And this cool gate effect over here has an own tutorial on our channel. Check one of the tutorials from a couple of days back and you can see that one in detail. Basically, we're just taking this sound over here, saw sound. We're EQing off this higher stuff over here, taking in a bit of chorus, and then we're sending that thing out into the gate bus, which is that one down here. That's basically an audio track playing an empty audio sample over here, but it's automated for gating purposes with the track volume modulation. That one goes out into the master. So we are catching this signal, plugging it into this gate bus over here, tweaking the volume and adding a chorus and the reverb effect on top, and also modulate this volume, so it's starting lower. And this information is being sent to the master. So this track doesn't send anything to the master. Okay, so now we are falling into our bridge. This is just a couple of plugs playing, or well, they're called ARPs over here, but we can name them plugs, and a guitar. And we are doing this on the left and on the right of our panorama. And we are combining it with a pad sound. That one over here. Not going too much into detail here because I want to talk about one more thing, which is this cool break here, which has a little bit more organic feel because there are some reverse guitar samples in there. So So how do you get this sound? You just play guitar the other way around. That's the whole story. So I recorded this guitar and I turned it around. I reversed it. And that's how a reversed guitar sound. I plugged it into a simpler here, an Ableton 9.2 simpler. The 9.5 simpler looks a bit different, but works just as well in this mode. And then I put in the chord here, this one. You can see how it moves to more volume here. Let's have a look at this one as well over here, because we have a bit of some interesting, no, it's in this one, of some interesting frequency shifting here. Because we want to take you really into this break, and but then take you back into the track actually. And then we need to kind of open up. And this opening up is nicely achieved with this frequency shifter here. So you see in this last chord, frequency shifter, fine, and you get this pitchy effect for this pad sound. I'm taking off some lower frequencies in the beginning because it sounds a bit nasty in the lower frequencies, so I just want to get rid of that. I put it in. Not looking for this, so. And the sound is our pad warmer, sine wave, saw wave, bit of white noise, voicing, unisono even, nothing special. And we are playing this added tone chord here. Again, we have just finished a course on how to make this type of chords. Check the description, I'm throwing a link in there. And with this effect, so we really have this nice break kind of sound here. Down here, we have a couple of ARPs, question, answer, and this hey kind of vocal shot here. And we have this other vocal shot over here, which does this start effect. It's just someone breathing, a girl breathing or something. And I just took a couple of notes, and that's how you get interesting effects as well. It's just a simple breath sound, but rolling off the low ends and adding reverb and delay without the EQ. Yeah, but we kind of covered those elements already, so I think the important parts are covered. Maybe we could quickly talk about this vocal shot in our chorus part. So this one. So this is basically this major laser lean on sound and sample. And I added another one on top. With a bit of bit reduction and chorus. Yeah, of course we have those tiny breaks here with our kick. And we are starting the shakers as well. So our second round of the chorus gets a little bit more drive with this hi-hat as well. Anyways, I think I will leave it like that for now. I hope you got a bit of an overview how to make this type of track. Check the description for those drum sounds that are out of our D Premium drum sample pack. Presets, courses, templates and samples. Subscribe to our channel, follow us on Facebook and on Instagram, and I hope to see you next time.